back for our final video with Shetland Reel and Debbie. We've been working our way through the tasting pack, which, as you can see, we've been doing quite well. So we've already tried the original gin and the Ocean Scent, and now we're on to their final gin in the pack, which is the Simmer Gin. So Debbie, do you want to tell us a little bit more about this?
Yes, so this is the third of our core gins, and this one was originally developed for World Gin Day, which is very appropriate, isn't it? And although, of course, ours is the International Scottish Gin. But in World Gin Day several years ago, Stuart Nickerson, who's one of the other co-founders, we do a lot of sitting around talking about what we could do, because with craft distilling, you can play around and you're like, let's try this, let's try it. So you can play around and we're like, let's create a gin for World Gin Day, because we can do that, because the still is small and we can just create a certain number of bottles and see how it goes. And because it's the summer, we should do a citrusy one, which actually my palate really suits citrusy gins, so I particularly like. So we thought, so we'll do that, and citrusy, that should work really well because it's the summer, it'll be really exciting. But we are at 60 degrees north. There is no chance of growing oranges or lemons or anything citrus. You may get about 4 on a plant in a polytunnel, which is what our local market gardener gets from time to time, but it's not really seriously what we can do. But we still wanted that citrus in the gin, and because it's so different to the 2 other gins, we've got the original with the apple mint, fresh, clean, really still tasting like a gin. Thank you, my lovely assistant. We've got the Ocean Scent, very different, very quirky with the bladderwrack seaweed, slightly savoury. So to make our other gin very different, we were going to go citrus. And so we decided to do this, and we just decided, right, it's okay. We can't have anything local, to be honest. So this is one of our gins where we wanted to bring an aspect of Shetland into the gin, and it's our opportunity from the UK's most northerly island to share what is so special about Shetland. So we were playing around with names, and we like our play on words. And in Shetland, from May onwards, the light in the summer is absolutely fantastic. It hardly ever goes dark. It stays light all summer, and it's almost got an orangey glow as time goes on. And it's called the Simmer Din, and they have lots of activities going on in the Simmer Din because it just stays light all night. So we got this in mind. So we wanted citrus, and it's about the Simmer Din. So inevitably it became the Simmer Gin, because it is about saying, actually, we've got something very, very special at 60 degrees north, and that's what we wanted to tell folk about. But what we wanted to do is, because the days are long, and some of the time at the end of the day, you've got a warmth right into the evening, and we wanted to create a gin where you would get that warmth at the end. So we've got Stuart and Wilma Nickerson, who are 2 owners of the company, along with myself and my husband. And so Wilma worked really hard on this to bring in that warmth, and she did that by adding caraway seed and licorice at the end. And I know sometimes we've been out at events and people will go, oh, I don't like licorice. And it's like, with London dry gins, because the botanicals all go into the neutral spirit and they're soaked overnight, and then we distill them, it's just a hint and it's just a touch. So if you don't like any of the botanicals in it, it's still worth tasting, because they're distilled and they're pure, and they're very different to what you might imagine. And people say, well, I don't like licorice, but that's really, really nice. So we did that, the licorice and the caraway seed, and we doubled the amount of orange we would normally put in. All our gins have citrus in. It's something that we use when we're balancing the botanicals really, really carefully. So Simmer Gin is what was created in the beautiful orange bottle. You know, when we were doing this and we're like, should we put it in a clear bottle and see what happens? And Stuart was like, no, I think we should do an orange bottle. And I was like, do you think an orange bottle would work? But actually, it is really lovely, really, really lovely. So we did this. This one is my personal favorite, actually, because I am a citrusy gin person. And I think this is very personal, because it's really good to try the gins neat. It gives you an opportunity to think about the botanicals and see if you can pick them up, whether if you're using the cards, the host has told you what's in them or not. You can think, you can try and close your eyes, you can nose them, see if there's anything coming through that you can pick up without knowing. So you just do a small amount.
Has to be said. So anyone that has ever spoken to me, read my blog, seen me on social media will know that I'm not an orange fan. So when I saw this, I was, particularly when you say doubled the orange, there's a bit of my soul going, ugh. But actually, when you smell it, it's not, you know, it's like your other gins. Nothing is punching you in the face. You know, you can certainly pick up the citrus, but I'm not here going, oh, there's so much orange, I can't drink this. And like you said, don't let the botanicals put you off. You should always try it.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about the tasting pack. 3 very different to do that. Even if there's something that you really don't like, just give it a go anyway. This one out of the 3, being completely honest, it's 49%. We'd made the ocean scent with the bladderwrack seaweed 49, and it went down really well. And we thought, as we do, we make several different versions, but we stuck at 49 as one of the versions, and we're like, actually, this really works at 49%. We'll keep it. I think compared to ocean scent, when you taste this neat, this is the one that really opens up with the mixer compared to the other 2. I think that the mixer makes a massive difference compared to the other 2. But it'd be interesting to see what you think, Jenny.
Yeah, and again, oh, that's got a bit of an aftertaste, isn't it? All of a sudden, I just got a bit, oh.
It's almost like a bit of a spiciness because of the caraway seed and the licorice at the end. It's got a slight spiciness because that brings the heat that you're after.
And it's quite sweet citrus at first. So I wasn't quite expecting the spicy kick of like, oh, that was, it's definitely a slightly more complex mouthfeel than the other 2.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, good gins, but they're, you know, it's sort of the same taste throughout, whereas this changes a bit more in your mouth as you drink it.
Yeah, I totally agree. No, you clearly do know your gins. That is what it's like. And actually,
I finally learnt a little bit.
I think this one, out of all the others, and we've mentioned the different mixers, this is the one that works with the Mediterranean tonic, something with a little bit of sweetness in, because the sweetness comes in to complement the citrus. And I have to tell this story. So I'm in Shetland with a lovely young girl, because you know, the gins are being drunk by youngsters. And she came up and she got this gin goblet and she went, "This is your Simmer Din." And actually, you know, it's got lemonade in. And I'm like, that's really unclassy. We've made a gin that tastes good with lemonade. And I tried it. So even the Sicilian lemonade by Fever Tree or something like that, that makes it really, really citrus. That might be too much for some folk, but just a lemonade with simmer, with a slice of orange and a sprig of thyme. Really, you know what? It's not thyme, it's rosemary. That's what we want. This is what happens when you're 3 gins in.
I was worried because I did also pick some rosemary from my garden, and I was like, oh God, I don't have any time. I have rosemary.
It is rosemary, but there's a very good reason why I said thyme, because we've just brought out our Christmas hawthorn, which has almost a woody taste, and thyme works with that. That's why thyme's in my head. It is rosemary, and you've got a lot in your garden. You are the absolute ideal person.
No,
so you just roll it.
Pots. You just happen to have picked 2 of the ones I have.
Oh, it was meant to be then. It was meant to be a fantastic summer gin. So you would, and if you want to go for your goblet glass, I know sitting with a goblet glass, you know, in an evening is fantastic. Usually go for the double measure, so 50 ml, and fill it. If you can't bear to go lemonade, because that's really not what you're about, but I personally do recommend it, or Mediterranean tonic, bring in a bit of sweetness, but not too much. Sprig of rosemary and a slice of orange. That's my personal favorite, actually. And I have to tell you this story, because quite often in the summer, in the distillery, in normal times when we can have visitors, because we love welcoming visitors, and we don't, compared to other distilleries, you know, that are on a main road or whatever, we don't get the same number, obviously, because we're at the edge of the UK. But when they do come in, it can have been, so Simmer Din, where, you know, I'm really enthusing about the light and the warmth of the sun, and quite often outside, and these people have just come in, it can be, you know, thick fog. They can see that far in front of them, and there's me going on about the Simmer Din light, and I'm like, we should just have done a cloudy gin. We should probably have just done the cloudy gin, actually. But no, most of the time in Shetland, and you do get all 4 seasons, and probably actually, you know, twice in one day, the simmer just absolutely works. So we'd created it for World Gin Day, and we thought it was just going to be a special edition. That was the plan at the time, as we do create these special editions and just see what people think. And it was so popular, so popular, particularly with the folk from Shetland who really, really love it, that were like, this needs to stay as a core gin. So that's how we came about with the 3 core gins. And so that's how the simmer came about.
So I've just,
and even though you're
popped my rosemary in, it really changes it.
It does.
So when I tried it before, because it was just the gin and a tonic, like you said, it's really citrusy. But adding the rosemary kind of brings it into a bit of a balance. But
yeah,
it's still not too herbal, or, you know, it doesn't taste like grass, because some herbal gins can be a bit. It's really fragrant.
Yes, yeah, and a summer fragrance almost. I think when we're developing the gins, what we do is send out some of the samples, because I always say this because I'm not involved in the distillation. I'm not a distiller. I work on all the other side of the business, and the promotion and the marketing and what have you. And it's like, actually making the gins really straightforward, trying to get everything in the right sequence to get it, you know, get the photographs, get the press release, get the label, everything in the right order is really, really complicated. So that is what I work on, but I do love being part of the development of the gins. And what we do is send out samples to bartenders or restaurants, and really ask them what they think the serves would be, because it you know, in some ways it's better to involve those, and quite often it's really good to have a panel of Shetland folk to get involved with the tasting. What we try and do when we're launching a new gin is always launch it in Shetland if absolutely possible, because that's where our roots are. That's what sets us apart. That's what makes us different. So we do that, but we sometimes go a bit further for the cocktail ideas and for the serves, just to see what else is out there, what other people's views are.
I think this, so again, anyone that's known me or ever seen my social media will know I'm a big Negroni drinker, and I think the citrus from this would work really well in a Negroni.
Yeah. We've got on our website, we've got cocktails, and on the cards as well that come as part of the pack, you'll have the cocktail ideas, but on the website too. And we work with a great guy called Lewis Paris in Grimsby, and he lived on Shetland for quite a while, but he's a big fan and works with us, and he's fantastic actually. And in lockdown, he came up with a couple of recipes that with your martini, with some of the gins, the folk festival gin that was a special for them, and batch making martini so that it's in the fridge at all points, so that when you need it in lockdown. We do obviously support responsible drinking at all time, don't we, Jenny? But
I also support batching up cocktails to put in your fridge, because, like, obviously responsible drinking, particularly in lockdown, there has been some issues with a lot of people, but also life is quite hard. And if you had a hard day at work and then you're still stuck in the house, it's nice. I always have a pouch of martini and a pouch of Negroni in my fridge, batched up, just for a bad day. It's ready made. It's, you know, it's good.
Yeah, it is. And if you've made it with a quality gin and done as they said, yeah, I remember in sort of early lockdown when everything was very sort of restricted, and Lewis had developed these recipes, and I was like, oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to get somebody else to say what they think as well. So we did it in 3 gardens. It was just the way the gardens fit that we could keep the distance. So it was 5 o'clock on a Friday, and we're like, I need you to try these gins. You've got to give me the feedback. So that's what we were doing in the early days of lockdown, just within the rules and regulations. So yeah, it's given us new opportunities, hasn't it, these difficult times. And like the tasting pack, really, and developing the cards, it's something else that people can do. It's not, you know, it's not about, you said earlier, it's not about being serious and really trying to identify every single botanical. It's just increasing your knowledge, seeing what you like, what you don't like, and bringing back memories that are really important.
Yeah, and at least so I'm down south, way down, probably nearly as far from you as I can get. I'm down near Brighton. You know, but currently, as of the day of recording, I should point out, we're allowed to meet groups of 6. So, you know, something like this where you can have 4 people, each with a double measure. It's still something you can do in person, which is a really nice thing to do. Or, like you said, you could do it over Zoom, like we're doing. And you know, it's just a slightly nicer thing to do than sitting at home. So the voice of
Yes.
alone, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Right. Well, so hang on, I'm trying to pick up all 3 bottles because I've no longer got them in the pack as nice and jazzy. But so yeah, so anyone that's watched the previous videos has seen us tasting all of them, which might be why this one's maybe the most rambling, because we've had 2 already for this. I'm going to say, I think personally, I think the ocean scent is my favorite, just because I drink it and instantly go, I want a martini and I want it now. I think the seaweed adds such a depth of flavor. But like you said before, the original is just such a classic. It's that's what it is. There's nothing gimmicky about it. It's just a gin, and it's a good gin.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah. No,
considering I'm orange, simmer gin, good level of citrus.
Yes, yeah, and I totally understand, and if you've got that knowledge on the gins, that the ocean scent will be one that just sort of sets itself apart, I think, actually. Yeah, I'm quite sort of traditional with the citrus. Yeah, the simmer does it for me, but I obviously like all our gins. Okay. I do, and it's quite funny because when you come from a background where you're not in sales, really, I have such confidence in Stuart and Wilma as they're developing our new gins. I know that I don't have to make it up. It's absolutely honest. I know that we create really good gins, really. And I know, you know, there are lots of craft distillers out there doing fantastic things. It is really exciting. I mean, everyone keeps saying that, you know, is this gin bubble going to burst? And it really hasn't yet at all, has it? It's fantastic.
Building and building.
I know. So yeah, I mean, what we're planning to do, we've got our Christmas hawthorn, where we took hawthorn berries. And again, when you're doing something new, you play around. Is it the leaves that we can distill, and they were a bit bitter, and it's like, no, stop, we can't do the leaves, we're going to do the hawthorn berries, and that's very different again. What I find as a non-distiller, finding out that actually we keep creating them that are so different to each of the others, and this one is slightly woody, as I've mentioned, and the juniper is really up front, but I really like that. We've done a gin liqueur. I know some people like the gin liqueurs because they want that sweetness. Our gin liqueur, rhubarb and bramble, is absolutely amazing. We just sell so much of it, even to the hardened, I'm a London dry gin and I can't possibly drink a gin liqueur. It's like, just taste it. And the rhubarb just smacks you in the face. And rhubarb is everywhere, but it's particularly in Shetland too. So that goes down really well. We're looking at probably early next year doing something new, probably a very small run, because we know people are interested. And that's what it is. I think you have the people who are interested in what you're doing, and when you create something new, they just want to see what you're up to and see what it's like compared to the rest of what you do. So it's a great industry to be involved with, although obviously with the challenges, it's a little bit difficult at the moment. But really delighted to have spent this time with you, Jenny, and see what your reaction is, and really hope that people think that buying the tasting pack would be good for a present.
Which I've emptied.
Not going to mention the C word. Yours is empty. Mine is still full because
that's how
I've got the big
it arrives.
I've got the big bottles to work on. So yeah, hopefully people will think that that's a good idea, something a bit different to do, and learn a little at the same time and enjoy Shetland Reel gin.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for spending the time with me and going through these gins with me and telling me much more about them. It's been really interesting and good fun. So thank you very much. And yeah, I hope everyone watching has enjoyed these videos. It's the first time I've ever done this. Not gonna lie, I was terrified. So if you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, don't let us know. And yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.